Hey guys, David with Maximum Concrete, Brian with Nicoletta Co. So today we're going to go over a couple slab infills that we did here. Brian he's remodeling the whole house, and we did a bunch of concrete cutting here, some in the bathroom, some in the kitchen. Upon the demo, we found this big void in the slab. Well, not void, but a recess. So today we got concrete outside, the pumps there, we're getting everything set up. There was a contractor that came here previously before Brian did some repairs on the home. They actually had a column that was sagging, which was causing some cracks in the slab. What we did was we put all the rebar in, did our bonding agent. The bonding agent is very important. We don't want the slab cracking, raising up off the slab that is getting poured on. We got the guys here today. They're going to form the recess on the outside for the new sliding glass doors. We did all the rebar. The rebar is per plan, drilled, cleaned out, epoxied. This is very important. You don't want guys cutting corners on slab infills. We see it all the time, tile cracking, floors cracking. There's a lot of things that come into play when you want to do it, when you're doing slab infills. So I'll give it to Brian from here.
To make sure this is all proper, the homeowner actually owns a tile company up in New York, and they're actually going to be shipping down a very, very, very expensive tile. And me and David had figured out we're probably pouring somewhere between 10,000 to 12,000 pounds of concrete right here. And after we had demoed it all and found out this unlicensed contractor prior to the homeowner buying the house had cut out this tie beam, it caused that back column to begin to sink and this part of the slab to crack because the tie beam was keeping everything tied together. So like David said, I put in some push piers, 2 push piers. They go underneath the column and they drive them into the dirt to about 3,500 to 4,000 PSI to where they're not going to sink anymore. And the poly, when you drill into the cracks, the poly goes in there and finds any voids and helps keep the slab nice and tight against the surface soil. Putting down all that concrete on here, we didn't want it to cause the issue to sink anymore because we are putting that high grade tile on top of this whole slab. So this is just going to finish out completely perfect, level across the front all the way to the new slider, and then outside there we're actually going to be building a pool deck that's going to be tying off that back end there. I think it's going to look great. Maximum Concrete does a great job. We've prepped it, we're ready to go. We've epoxied.
This is above and beyond on any project that Brian and I do together. We try to go to the moon. We do what we have to do to make sure that we don't have to come back in a year and fix anything on any jobs. Sometimes there's concrete guys that cut corners and they do things to save them a couple bucks, and that's not what we do.
If we didn't reinforce the slab, man, it would just be a whole big sheet of 12,000 pound concrete just floating out there, which isn't advised. It's not how we operate. You know, a 3-gallon bucket of bonding agent was another $50 in, an hour of time. So
it'll save us a lot of headaches.
Saves a lot of headaches in the long run.
All right, guys, we just want to go over like a trench cut out like this, right? It's very important cutting this out that you put it back per plan the same way that it was built originally. If it wasn't built correctly to begin with, you want to put it back per plan to make sure it's 1,000% good. When we cut these out, we go back, we do the bug treat for any termites, we do the vapor barrier. We've encountered a couple projects where the guys that have cut and put back didn't put the vapor barrier back. It is very important to put the vapor barrier back so the floor doesn't get moisture underneath whatever flooring you put on top of the concrete slab. We also go back with the rebar per plan to tie the slab back together.
Yeah, I just had a job where we came in, the homeowner had a plumbing issue. The plumbing contractor she had hired cut open her slab to fix a leak. When they poured the concrete back, they didn't put down a vapor barrier. So when we pulled up her floor, there was actually moisture underneath her underlayment to the point where it began to smell. We actually had to have a mold contractor come in, test the environment, and make sure there was no mold. As a licensed general contractor, you're not allowed to do mold. So we bring in another specialist that, focuses on that aspect. Luckily, the whole home was free of any mold or, bacterial growth. But the point was, without that vapor barrier, concrete sitting on bare soil begins to absorb the moisture up through the bottom of the concrete and it rises it to the top. So whether you're putting down an LVT or even a tile floor, that area will hold moisture. And even if you're doing a tile floor with the thin set, a wet thin set will actually begin to crack and pop. So you always want to put down that vapor barrier. Like David was saying with the rebar here, concrete has compression strength, but it doesn't have a good tensile strength where it's bending like this. So rebar adds that strength to concrete. So it's very important that we put all that rebar in. In every spot that we're pouring back concrete today, you'll see some type of rebar. David also goes above and beyond and follows the plan, we can either put down wire mesh or we can pour fiber concrete. So we typically go above and beyond and pour a fiber mesh concrete back in with the rebar, and it just gives that added strength and bond to make sure nothing cracks later on down the project.
You want to go to the shower?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is going to be transferred into a zero entry shower is what they call it. We put the drain against the wall, right? So what happens is when we typically pour these back, we put the rebar cage in, same thing, vapor barrier, compact the soil, termite treat, and we pour the slab. We typically leave it around 2 to 3 inches below the existing slab level, and we let the tile guy do his transition with the slope to the drain, only because if we leave it up too high and he has issues, then we have to end up coming back in grinding or chipping or whatever he needs done. So typically this is what is really in style right now.
Yep.
No curb, no trip hazard, no big step down, zero entry. It's what's happening today. It's a very hot thing that's happening right now.
So this particular homeowner requested this, and we've made it wide enough that you can get in with any type of accessibility. Due to the fact that we're doing a drain down here, a linear drain, you're almost about 8 foot. So typically your slope on the pan needs to be 1/4 inch per foot. So with about 8 feet here, we're actually gonna pour this one a little bit deeper, and we're gonna go 4 inches and allow the tile guy to, like David said, to mud pack it and find his own slope to make sure that he has the right accessibility on all angles. So on this one, we're actually gonna try to do a 4-inch slope to give that guy just a little bit more room for the play. And I think it's gonna look good.
Then another thing I wanna mention, one thing really important, when you're going with a contractor or even a subcontractor, right? You want to look at the cleanliness of the job and how they leave their jobs. I mean, you can see through this house, there's nothing, large messes laying around. There's not stuff splattered all over the walls. I mean, literally, you could see we cut the slab out and there's, I mean, no mess here at all. That says a lot about your contractor and your subcontractors. You know, so
yeah, I hate a dirty job.
Yeah, I mean,
when you got an inspector come in, they see a dirty job, they're instantly looking for problems.
We really pride ourselves on making sure any job we leave is cleaner than what it was when we got there. So that's major. That's major for Maxim Concrete and Nicoletta Co. You know, and again, just picking a contractor, picking a subcontractor, make sure they know what they're doing, right? Brian doesn't just hand me a set of prints and say, here, remodel my house for me. We work together, we come up with solutions, we do stuff correctly, and we just make sure that everything is done correctly the first time.
Yeah, we go over it. I'll ask them, hey, did you go into that detail? Did you see this part of that detail? Yeah, I got that. I'm ordering fiber mesh per the plan. Hey, you know, there was supposed to be epoxy down or a bonding agent. Awesome, let's get that done. Let's put that in there. You know, we go over everything thoroughly, make sure it's done right. You know, so later on, I can finish out this project and give these homeowners a nice finished floor, a nice new kitchen, nice new bathrooms, and a new space to live in.
And this is just the beginning for us. We'll see you on the next one.
Yes, sir.